As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people, an abstract flame-like pattern in gold bright colors and a black background. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden. My name's Marilyn, and I'm glad to be your worship leader today. Our minister, Reverend Kristen, serves this community remotely. She'll be with us again next week as we celebrate a very special and different weekend together. We'll share more details later on in the service. We're so glad you're here today in this community that strives to be loving, inclusive, and compassionate. One way to connect with this community is to let us know you're here. We encourage you to fill out a newcomer card in the pews and drop it in the basket when it comes by later on in the service. If you're joining us online, please fill out a newcomer card online. If you've been a longtime member of the congregation, we encourage you to wear your name tag. That way, everyone feels more connected and our newcomers can get acquainted with us more easily. We love having people of all ages in the community. As you came in, we hope you noticed the basket of activities for hands that like to stay busy. This is for all of you of any age. We welcome all the wiggles and sounds of a multi-generational community. If you haven't already, please put your phones on worship mode. We're so glad each and every one of you are here. Welcome. Our opening reading is a poem called Telling by Laura Hershey. What do you risk telling your story? You'll bore them. Your voice will break. Your ink will spill and stain your coat. No one will understand. Their eyes become fences. You will park yourself forever on the outside. Your differentness, once and for all revealed, dangerous. The names you give to yourself will become epithets. Your happiness will be called bravery, denial. Your sadness will justify their pity. Your fear will magnify their fears. Everything you say will prove something about their God or their economic system. Your feelings that change day to day, kaleidoscopic, will freeze in place, brand you forever, justify anything they decide to do with you. Those with power can afford to tell their story, or not. Those without power risk everything to tell their story, and must. Someone somewhere will hear your story and decide to fight, to live and refuse compromise. Someone else will tell her own story, risking everything. Pass these around and peer into them and see what it's all about. A kaleidoscope is an optical device consisting of mirrors that reflect images of bits of colored glass in a symmetrical geometric design through a viewer. Kaleidoscopes can be changed endlessly by rotating the section containing the loose fragments. The name kaleidoscope comes from three Greek words: kalos, meaning beautiful, eidos, meaning form, and skopos, meaning watcher. After the initial discovery and thrill of kaleidoscopes, they became mostly a children's toy for playing. And one of the ones I brought is a children's toy, you can tell. Until, that is, a woman named Hazel Cosette Oliver, nicknamed Cozy Baker, repopularized them through her love of the intriguing beauty they could create. Cozy was an author and a public speaker who focused on her travels and their relationship to one's inner spiritual journey. Cozy's son was killed in a tragic accident when he was just 23 years old. And during that sad time, Cozy reflected on her process of grieving and continued her reflection of spirituality, writing another book called Love Beyond Life. This book took her on a speaking and book signing tour, where on a break, she stopped at a gift store in Nashville, Tennessee, and purchased a kaleidoscope. During her entire flight home, Cozy was mesmerized by the images of this wonderful new acquisition of hers. And her love of kaleidoscopes had begun. She eventually went on to write 7 different books about kaleidoscopes and organized an annual convention where people from around the world brought their kaleidoscopes in a giant show and tell. As Cozy said, a new dawn is always breaking inside a kaleidoscope. Listening with an open heart enables one to discover that each kaleidoscope is a little world unto itself, where one can keep dreaming dreams, reflect on beauty repeating itself over and over again, and know that for each ending, there is a new beginning. I invite you to settle into a comfortable position, adjusting your body, maybe closing your eyes, maybe breathing in a way that helps you feel centered and more present. Imagine your body as a kaleidoscope. Each of the colorful shapes are stories of your life. Let the stories of your heart rise to the surface. Each memory is a piece of twisting kaleidoscope, each story overlapping with others, each memory making new meaning as it mingles with other memories, new knowledge, more life experiences. Bring to mind a story of beauty, however you translate that. That, as Cozy said, repeats itself over and over again, where each ending is a new beginning. We invite a few of you to come forward and share your stories. Don't all jump up at once. Okay, I'm just going to leave it to you.
That was a surprise to Marilyn, I'm sure. The year was 1970, and had been in the Air Force for 8 years. I was returning on a flight from Turkey to New York. I'd been in Turkey and Greece for 2 years, and I'd managed to register at Utah State University remotely. I'd managed to change my state of residence from Idaho to Utah. And I remember flying from Turkey to London and then changing airlines and flying on to New York City. It was towards the end of the Vietnam War. I flew in civilian clothes because the word was you didn't want to show up in a uniform. It was a change of life for me, going back to Utah State to finish a degree, and my life changed.
So, this is a story that's been going on a long time. But I remember when I was in first grade, 6 years old, and my mother kept me home from school because they were celebrating Chinese New Year. And I was told by my mother that they were going to be feeding food to false gods, and therefore I was not allowed to go. A few years later, when I was 19, I was hanging out with the Hare Krishnas. And again, this issue of feeding false gods came up. Fortunately, a few years later, when I was initiated into the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and received my name, my mother was there. And as I sat before the sacred fire and received my name and a few other things, I noticed her crying. And afterwards, I talked to her and I said, "Hey, Mom, what's going on?" And she told me that she was very, very happy that I found something beautiful to do with my life. And her mind changed. But the story keeps going. As some of you know, last year I went on a pilgrimage to India. And part of that journey, and the reason I came back bald, was because I was putting my mom's cremated remains into the sacred rivers of India. I was kind of finally letting her move on and moving on with my life after a pretty tragic rupture in our relationship. And the next day, I climbed a very, very sacred mountain called Tirupati, which is one of the oldest and also happens to be the world's most prosperous Hindu temple, that for about 1,000 years has been the spiritual home of one of my traditions. Normally, when you go there, you see the deity that is enshrined for less than 5 seconds. Because of special arrangements, I got 3 whole minutes with him. But importantly, when you're there, the priests do not touch people because the priests are touching the body of God. And yet, for some reason, me there, bald, shirtless, in a very traditional Indian clothing, the priest reached out and grabbed my arm and pointed at the deity and basically said, "Isn't he beautiful?" And so it was very interesting after saying goodbye to my mom that the first real encounter I had was with one of the false gods that I grew up so afraid of, feeling connected and embraced by just kind of universal, unplanned love. And that's my Kaleidoscope story.
I would like to share that on the 15th of April of this year, Claudia and I celebrated our 64th wedding anniversary. We had 64 years together, a lot of good ones, some not so good, but it is just a delight that we can share our senior years together for however many years we have left.
So when I was living in Costa Rica, my previous husband and I learned that we could not have children of our own. And after some heartbreak with that, we moved forward in an adoption process and had everything approved on our end, but it was going to be a several-year wait. And we were getting older and we were also running out of money. And so we were worried that it wouldn't happen. So we endeavored to do a private adoption, which fell through. And it was heartbreaking, devastating, actually. But then thinking all this time we wanted a newborn, we prayed on it and we consulted with the psychologists that we knew and who worked with children and decided that maybe we really ought to consider an older child. And so we went to the Children's Bureau and met with the director, and they had gotten to know us quite well and had gone through the heartbreak of the failed private adoption. And so we felt like this was almost like our family there. And we told her, yeah, we decided that we would be open to an older child. She got a huge smile on her face, and she said, I was about to call you when you called and made the appointment with me because we have a 10-month-old baby girl in the children's home, and she is available for adoption. So would you like to meet her tomorrow? So the next day we went to the children's home and we met a little girl named Gretel Maritza Gomez Oviedo, who became Alice Thurber, my daughter, and we never looked back.
So I just want to share part of my story. Some of you may have heard this from me, I'm not sure. So it's how I came to discover UU. And I was in California, and it was the year 2000, and it was the year of the Hanging Chad election, and Bush won and Gore did not. And I was really sick of all of the political division. It seems mild by comparison, but that was a really big deal. And so I said, I need to do something to restore my faith in people. I'd lost all my faith in people. So I decided I was going to go around and visit some different churches. I felt like I already had my own truth, so I didn't feel like I was looking for a truth per se. I was just trying to feel better about the human race. And back at that time, we had newspapers. So I would open up our Fremont, California newspaper, and they had a one-page section where they had different ads and information about the churches in the area. So every Saturday night, I would open it up, I would look at it, and I'd say, I'm going to go here or I'm going to go there. So I started on this quest for a couple of years going to different churches. And so I happened upon the UU church that's called Mission Peak Universalist Unitarian Congregation there in Fremont. And I just really liked it. I liked the wideness of thought. That's not quite the right word. But only a couple of weeks after I had been going there, I liked it so much that I kept going back. In a way, I wished I didn't like it so much because I kind of wanted to go to some other places, but I kept being drawn back. Only a couple of times after I had been there, it happened to be a Sunday. So once a year, the congregation would help their young people, like junior high and high school people. They would be assigned an adult mentor for the year. And then they would go through this whole program of exploration about who they were and what they believed in. This happened to be the Sunday where all the young people stood up and talked about what they had learned that year going through that program. And the first young person stood up and said, well, you know, these are things I've learned, and I don't really believe in God, but these are my values and these are the things I want to do, and this is what's important to me. Okay, so she sat down, and the next person gets up and says, well, you know, I really do believe in God, and these are my values, and these are the things I want to do with my life, and this is how I want to live. And then the third one got up and said, well, I'm not really sure if there's a God, but these are my values, and this is what I've learned, and this is how I want to live my life. And I just sat there astounded because nobody in the audience blinked an eye about this wide range of beliefs that these young people were expressing, and that they could express it freely. And it was like, that's what they had found. I think when you think about change, I hadn't really thought about that as being, that is such a big part of my story, because I love the church I grew up in. I still love it. And I still have a foot in that, but I still keep coming here too. The difference is I can tell you that. Some of you will understand that. So that started like, you know, like a 10-year relationship with Mission Peak. I loved the people there. I loved being actively involved in that. And as I've now moved back to Utah, I came a little bit. My husband and I came to the very last Christmas Eve service that you had in the church. And my husband is not one for organized anything actually, but he completely supports me. And we were just sitting there in that chapel, and I'd only come a couple of times, so I didn't really know nobody knew me. And so we just sat there quietly by ourselves. And as we sat there, I had just thought, oh, I feel so welcome here. And my husband at that same moment leaned over to me and said, I feel so welcome here. And it was a really special moment. And so I just want to say how I have been very thankful for all of you in this congregation, and to feel, I am welcome here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those beautiful stories. It really touched me, and it reminded me of things in my own life that are very similar. Thank you. We bless all those stories of beauty. In the twisting, turning movements of time, may we take comfort in the wisdom that emerged from from Cozy's grief, that an open heart enables one to remember that a world can be like a kaleidoscope, a world where one can keep dreaming dreams, reflect on beauty repeating over and over again, and know that for each ending, there's a new beginning. We continue our service by coming forward to engage in our weekly ritual that helps us remember to hold the challenges and joys of being human. As you light a candle, let's hold your hopes, memories, and gratitude for this beautiful, complicated world and for our lives. And as you drop a stone in our sacred gathered waters, may it be an opportunity to imagine your burdens held in a community that will let the stone land with care and intention. Please come forward. Our offering is a practice of gratitude for this community of care and love for one another and courage and resistance. We commit to keeping this community resourced for the ministries ahead, both within our walls and beyond. The offering we collect each week supports us in being the community that can best respond to the needs of these times. As we collect our offering today, we remember our interconnectedness and interdependence, and we generously offer our care with hopes to support all through these times. Need a couple of Please rise and body your voice, and facing the center aisle, sing together the offering song printed in your order of service.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and for this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and for this we live.
Your abundant generosity speaks to your care and love. Thank you. Don't miss this. Next week, for our wonderful weekend of community, celebration, creativity, and in-person time with our minister, Reverend Kristen, join us. We don't normally meet on the first weekend of the month, but in May, we will. We'll start with the official launch, finally, of our UUCO Museum. Join us Friday, May 2nd at 6 p.m. in that building across the way, the gymnasium on the top floor. That's where we'll be meeting at 6 p.m. on Friday, and there will be light refreshments fun activities, and joyful connections for the whole family. And for even friends, if you want to bring friends. Then on Sunday, we'll meet right here at our regular time and place, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, for a strange and wonderful worship meeting dedicated to a creative reimagining of our future. This will be very different from a typical Sunday worship. We'll be sharing several proposals for our next moves as a UUCO community. And you won't want to miss being part of the restoring of our future. Sounds intriguing. We're looking for help setting up the museum. So if you're available to help on either Wednesday, April 30th or Thursday, May 1st, please email Marianne, our administrator, at admin@uuco.org and let her know. We are ready for our final song. As the service comes to an end, please join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. May we continue to see beauty in these days, in the midst of all things that are going on. May we remind each other of the beauty.
Lifted up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of
There will be an adult religious exploration class again today from 11:30 to about 12:30 thereabouts over in the library. And today we're going to be talking about UU theologies with an S.